Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports Radio. My name is Jonathan West, and welcome to the Howler. As it's good to come off of a nice bye week here for Sanford, as they are really still riding high off of week one. A huge victory over UVA and former Sanford recruit Nate Walker. It was a big win for this offense as a whole, and you couldn't believe the excitement going on in Sanford around the play of Tanner Patrick. It was enormous. Fans were just shocked, and I was with them on how well he played. But enough of that. Let's get into it, talking about recruits. John Scott, let's start with him, the number one man on the board for Sanford. And, well, we all remember him from last year. He has spent a year now in community college. He's playing this year at a community college actually in Illinois. He's had a solid start to the season, and I hope it continues well for him. Samuel Wyatt, a young man out of Louisiana, he's a solid blocker. He's a very solid blocker, but he's mainly a run blocker. Not great on his pass game, and that's something that has to really get worked on. Luckily for this team, he's perfect. This team likes to run the football. They need offensive linemen. So Wyatt should fit in perfectly fine if he does choose to come to Sanford. One of the biggest recruits, I think, this season is wide receiver Stephen Sonic Boom Sullivan, as they called him in Toronto in his high school days. He's a big fan of the Argonauts back in the day. So that's where he gets a lot of his influence right now. Excuse me, I forget exactly the coach and former player he was a big fan of. But he's a fast kid, and at his size, that speed is extremely dangerous. Don't expect him to be a day one starter here at Sanford because of their depth at receiver, but he could definitely be a big target a year or two down the road. That's a definite. Ron Price, a guy that Coach Wolf has really fallen for since seeing some of this tape. He's out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Price is a talented kid. He also has what Coach Wolf sees as a leadership character. He believes that Price, given maybe a year or two to sit here at Sanford, could become that leader that Trey McLaughlin was. So look for Price to be a big priority this season, and look for him to be a big contributor whenever he sees the field for Sanford, whether that's a year or two after a red shirt. There's a lot of love for Ron Price going on in this building, I can tell you that much. Another linebacker to look at is Steve Little out of Edmonton, Alberta. And he's another linebacker that's a very interesting prospect. He's got a lot of speed to him, but he's undersized at 5'11". He's not a big linebacker. However, his zone coverage is very good. He's very similar to Telvin Smith out of the NFL for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He can play the pass game fairly well at an undersized body type. So look for Stephen Little to be that kind of mismatch if he comes to Sanford. There's another Canadian prospect out of Vancouver. It's Dylan Crosby, the defensive tackle. He is a powerful guy. We can say that much. If he comes to Sanford, expect for him to be a big powerhouse combined with Joe Irvin. I don't think Crosby will start right away, but there is a possibility he just sees some rotation. Possibly just some rotation, maybe not even a red shirt. This team is rather weak at the defensive tackle spot behind Joe Irvin and even Justin Moss. So we'll see how that fits in. Now let's talk about probably the most interesting pair of recruits we can talk about this year. Xavier and Jackson Payne, the Payne brothers. These two are very talented. Both can play a multitude of positions: outside linebacker, defensive end, even some safety. These guys are extremely talented, and what's very interesting about them is they're not going to go anywhere without the other one. So if we were to get Xavier Payne, I think Jackson Payne would follow suit. If we were able to get Jackson, I believe Xavier would follow suit. It's a very interesting situation. Both men right now have Sanford, from what I know, at the top of their board. So it's a possibility we get these young two linebackers who I think, given time, could have a ton of potential in front of them. The Payne brothers are very raw. That is the only issue with them. They are very raw. but give them time. I think they can become great football players. Now let's look at tight end Nick Brown. This team needs some more depth at tight end. Of course, Duran Costello leaving after this season for graduation. So Nick Brown's a guy that this coaching staff really has fallen for. He's a great receiving threat. He's not a dominant receiving threat like Costello has become, but he is a very solid target for any quarterback to go to. His blocking skills definitely need to improve, but right now for what they want to kind of replace Duran Costello with, I think Brown is the perfect situation to come in and play right away. And finally, let's talk about Grant Fink, the other quarterback on this board. He's out of Calgary, Alberta, and he is a talented kid. He's got a lot of good mobility to him, a solid arm. It's nothing too overpowering, but a solid arm, and he's got some very good accuracy. This kid is your almost perfect quarterback, in my opinion, for this offense. Now, with John Scott being the priority here in Sanford, I don't know where Fink sits. That's just the big question there. Well, let's talk about some players of the week. And the players of the week for week 1 were Buck Welsh and Mitchell. Let me get this one right. Guadagnini. I could be terribly wrong on that, and I apologize to any Toledo fans out there. But Mitchell Guadagnini, both Toledo players, get the week 1 call for players of the week. Conveniently, week 2, it was all about Western Michigan. Paul Ingram, we heard a lot about last year, and wide receiver Anton Curtis, who had one of the best days I've ever heard of. 278 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's absolutely amazing. 21 catches, by the way. But right now, looking at the MAC conference, Sanford is on top of the East. They are sitting pretty at number 2 overall in the MAC and number 1 in the East. And that is a big, big thing to ride on here to week 3 in the rivalry game. It's going to be tough to keep this spot, I've got a feeling. Even though right now, they're the only team with a win on the East, it's still going to be tough to keep it. This is a tough conference. We've seen that year in and year out. It's a tough conference to win. But Sanford can do this. They've just got to keep going and keep fighting to get these W's. As Sanford hosts their rivals UConn this week, ought to be an interesting one. We'll talk more about that here in a bit. Ohio State hosts Central Michigan. Marshall hosts Akron. Ohio and Kent State both are taking on some FCS opponents. Western Michigan will also be facing some FCS competition, so should be some easy victories for those 3 schools. Minnesota takes on Miami of Ohio, and what I'm being told is a very, very anticipated matchup. So this ought to be interesting, and it is also Miami's first game of the year. Ball State heads to Michigan. I feel bad for those Cardinal fans. Mid-Tennessee State heads to Bowling Green in what is looked at as a very balanced matchup. And Texas Tech heads to Toledo. So it's a very interesting schedule of games, that's for sure. But we're only caring about one, really, as Northern Illinois will also head to Wisconsin. And FIU will head to Buffalo. And I'm being told right now that Adam Wolf, the father, of course, to Coach Darren Wolf, will be at the Buffalo game. From what I'm being told, it's just to watch the old school he coached and not to get some heads up on Buffalo for his son, but, I could believe the latter. So let's talk about this UConn game. Kirk Herbstreit does have Sanford coming off on top. I'm not surprised after the shock victory last week. So that I'm at least happy about. We got at least some favoritism now after the big win against UVA. But this game is going to be interesting. These 2 teams have played each other tough the 2 times they've gone up against each other. Last season, these 2 teams did not meet. They only play in non-conference games at this point, and they did not meet last week. Last year. So it's going to be interesting to see these 2 teams go back up against each other. It's been a little while. We don't know what's changed, what's different with these 2 teams. It's going to be extremely interesting to watch. And I'll tell you now, folks, this game could go either way, in my opinion. I think Sanford has the offensive power now, seemingly, to actually win games with the offense. I feel like that is a strong possibility. However, from what I've seen of this UConn team, they seem very high-powered. So the defense is going to have to play smart. It all starts with quarterback Tyler Davis. This is a passing attack here at UConn. And he's going to be the guy to watch, the senior quarterback. He threw 2 touchdowns in their first game of the year, and he went about 50% in his completion percentage. So the kid is a solid quarterback. He may not be the greatest quarterback in the nation by any means, but he is a very solid talent, and he can kill a defense if they're not playing well. His go-to guy is Kai Loxley, the 6'4", 199 senior. He didn't have the greatest day week 1. He did have a touchdown and 55 total yards, but only 4 receptions, so he wasn't targeted a ton, and this is a passing attack, let me remind you folks. So, Loxley didn't see a lot of targets. Let's hope that remains the same. Flash Gibson will be on Kai Loxley this week. They have made the transition to Flash being the number 1 corner this week. Kevin Murphy, the defensive tackle, leads that defensive front, and this is a tough defensive front. This is actually the part of the team that scares me the most, and this is the part of the team that I fear is going to be too much for this offense to handle. Kevin Murphy is a tough player. He may only be 6'1", but he comes in at 297 and can push offensive linemen around. Do not be fooled by his smaller stature. I'll tell you that right now. This kid is a powerhouse. Keep your eyes on number 94 when you see that defense. Now the leader of this defense is in the middle, Connor Freeborn, the preseason All-American. He is literally the life and blood of this defense. If he were to go down, I feel this defense goes down with him. But Freeborn is a tough guy. 5 sacks for a middle linebacker last year. That is tough to find. He is going to be the guy to watch. 88 is the guy to keep your eyes on at all times. I feel like he is the deadliest player, whether the ball's in the air or on the ground, at any moment. And finally, John Robinson IV, the number 1 corner on this team. This is going to be the guy, of course, that Tanner Patrick has to keep his eyes on. He's going to be matched up on Josh Williams all day. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to see. A senior corner versus a true freshman receiver. It ought to be a fun one. He's already had 2 passes deflected. So he has already started on a good note this year. We'll see exactly how well this UConn team can keep going, as that's all for this week on the Howler. Sanford's got a tough test in front of them for the home opener. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a hard-nosed fight, and I'm hoping and praying that Sanford comes out on top, and we're talking about 2-0 to start this young season. I've been Jonathan West. You've been listening to Sanford Sports Radio. We will see you folks this weekend at the Den as we head home for the first time this week. Hello, Sanford. You are listening to Sanford Sports Radio. I am Jonathan West, and it is time to defend the Den. The hashtag's back out there, as it is Sanford College football and the home opener of this new year of Sanford football. They're 1-0 to begin the season after an upset victory over the University of Virginia. Now they come home with the number 9th ranked passing attack. Yeah, you heard me right, folks. The number 9th ranked passing attack against the UConn Huskies, the rivals to these Coyotes. They have an issue with Huskies, apparently. We've seen it now in UConn and Northern Illinois. Huskies and Coyotes just don't seem to get along. But it is time to revisit this rivalry. Its current record stands at 1-1 between these two. And it ought to be an interesting one here. The big thing we're going to watch is, of course, this defense without the team captains that graduated last year. We'll see how well this defense can go, because there seemed to be some issues last week. Let's hope those issues are now gone and that they have been solidified and solid, and they're going to do well as we are underway. Jackson Stone kicks us off as Skanes takes the knee in the end zone, and that's the most exciting way to start a football game there. As it is 1st and 10 for the Huskies. Under center is Davis, his man in motion. I believe is Holman, and indeed it was, as he goes to Jordan Holman. That is a 13-yard reception and enough for the first down. There's a short check down that went all the way up, So a big play there as they go to the screen now for Kai Loxley, as they've already started some no huddle here. And that's going to gain 18 as no one was ready for that wide receiver screen. The no huddle continues as Davis drops back again. He connects with Kai Loxley again, and he can't get brought down by, I believe that was Dylan Trevor. Things not going well for this Sanford defense early. 1st and 10. Shotgun formation, man in motion. As the handoff goes to Vickers, the first time we're calling his name today. Jacavius Vickers with a 4-yard run. We're probably not going to see a lot of Vickers on the ground. This is a high-powered passing offense. 2nd and 6 now. This no huddle continues, and you can tell it's wearing down this defense. As Vickers with plenty of room to run, he takes a shot, though, from, I believe, Keon Cutler. That's a 10-yard gain and enough for the first, though. 1st and 10, handoff goes to Vickers again. This time he's slowed down, and a big hit by Pat Riley. Combination of Flash Gibson and Pat Riley gets the job done. 2 of the young stars of this defense, and both helping out to stop Vickers there for a loss of 1. 2nd and 11 now as they finally were out of their no huddle. It's a 4-yard run there for Nate Hopkins up the gut. He didn't go far. It's 3rd and 7 now as shotgun formation. Davis to throw, looking for his open man to the end zone, and it's a touchdown. DJ Turner able to keep 1 foot in bounds as he grabs that one. It was zone coverage, and they just found a hole in the zone there as Dustin Jordan wasn't ready for that type of route, I take it. But that's how things start off. As we've got an update for you folks. Mississippi State has upset Auburn 21-20. Conveniently, Auburn is the next team on the schedule for Sanford. They have a bye week following this week, and then it's Auburn. So they won't be number 1 in the nation when they face the Coyotes. That's a little bit of a bummer because I think a lot of fans were excited for that. Some more games that finish. UCLA defeats Stanford. Miami of Ohio falls to Minnesota 21-28. Mid-Tennessee State falls to Bowling Green 21-24. Some close ones were out there this week. As Tanner Patrick and company now back on offense, it's Claude Fleming with a 7-yard gain, and I got a feeling we'll see a lot of Claude Fleming and Tyrone Jennings in today's contest. 2nd and 3, shotgun formation. Patrick looking to throw. He connects with Josh Williams. A nice juke there as he's got more yardage into Husky territory. 28 yards for the freshman. Josh Williams is looking extremely sharp. He is looking very, very talented here, and it's great to see this out of a guy that was not highly pursued because, of course, of his off-the-field issues, as Connor Freeborn comes flying through to take down Claude Fleming for a loss of 2. That's the big middle linebacker and leader of this UConn defense. As Patrick on 2nd and 12 takes the option up for a gain of 5. It's going to be 3rd and 7 now. That's a little more manageable than what they were looking at. They have an opportunity here. It's 3rd and 7. Patrick drops it down to Tyrone Jennings. That's only going to be a gain of 4 though. So they're going to have to punt this one away. No, the offense stays on the field, though. They go option, and Connor Freeborn sniffs it out. That is the last thing this team needed. They thought they had an opportunity at hand, but it's a turnover on downs, a little too much risk this early. As Vickers with the check down, and he's got more yardage than I think anybody anticipated there. A 7-yard gain on the swing out. 2nd and 3 now. Man in motion was Jordan as the handoff goes to Vickers. He's got room, just enough for the first down. Pushed out of bounds by Keon Cutler. It's a new set of downs as the no huddle continues. Davis looking to throw over the middle, connects with Zorn Holman. He bounces off a tackler. Free room to the end zone. Zorn Holman with a 49-yard touchdown strike, and it's all because he bounced off of a defender. It's 14-0 early here, folks, as Sanford needs a big play, and there is one. Josh Williams, 22 yards downfield. There's some momentum boost for you, as the new #1 receiver playing quite well here early on in his Sanford career. Nice to see this kid playing as well as he is. First and 10, handoff goes to Claude Fleming. He tries to find some room, can't find much. It'll be a gain of 3 on that run. A solid gain given the situation. They're going to need a lot more though, as play action here for Patrick. And he overthrows his intended target. Wide open was Duran Costello. Well, there's a big miscue. We didn't see much of that last week, as Patrick to throw as he goes down. They sent the corner blitz, and Aaron Garland got there extremely quick, as that's a big loss for Sanford, and they are going to have to punt this one away. Jean-Paul Valley punted away his first ball here, being a Coyote, as now it's back to the UConn offense, and Jordan Holman going right back to work. The big tight end gaining 9 on that one. 2nd and 1. The first quarter is not even over, folks, as Davis with some broken play there, it looked like. It didn't look like he was supposed to keep a hold of that, as that's a 4-yard gain as they make something out of nothing. 1st and 10 after the broken play. They go once again to a screen. This one scans, and scans with a 12-yard reception and enough for the first down. This is not looking good for the Sanford defense. I talked about it last week, 2 weeks ago during the UVA game, and how they did not look the same at all, and they are certainly not looking like the same defense we saw last week. A big catch there by DJ Turner. As the no huddle continues, Davis goes to the option, but they bit, and that's going to be a big gain for Davis. 16 yards and a big first down. The Huskies have entered the red zone, as it's 1st and 10. Davis with the delayed handoff to Vickers. Scott Boyd slowed him down, and Big Joe's going to finish the job. A loss of 2 there by Joe Irvin. He was slowed down by redshirt freshman Scott Boyd, and it worked out in the best there. 2nd and 12 now as Vickers takes off, but he's brought down. That's Dylan Trevor that brings him down. Good tackle there by Trevor, as it'll be 3rd and 8. This may be the last play of the first quarter. Man in motion. As over the middle, that's Jordan, the second tight end, as that's going to be enough for the touchdown. And that's going to make it a 3-possession ball game, as we've got some more updates for you. Wisconsin defeats Northern Illinois 35-23. So right now, the MAC team's not looking so hot. It's 21-0 at the end of the first quarter, folks. Sanford's got to find something. They got to get something clicking. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back, everyone, to Sanford Sports Radio. I'm Jonathan West. It's the beginning of the second quarter of play here, as Sanford begins with a screen here to Tyrone Jennings. That one didn't go too far. A gain of 4 brought down by Connor Freeborn. 2nd and 6 now, still out of the shotgun. Patrick to throw. He throws on the run, connects with Claude Fleming. Nice throw. Good throw and catch there by Patrick to Fleming, as that's a big 11-yard gain and a first down. Patrick drops back again to the sidelines, connects with Tremaine Dingle, and that was tight coverage. That was a risky throw, but it worked out. 14-yard catch for the senior. As play action here on 1st and 10. There's a good throw to Duran Costello, as the big tight end gains 28 yards. The senior tight end getting involved, and wait a minute. I'm not sure if I saw that correctly, but I believe that Duran Costello is down on the turf. And indeed he is. This is not good. He is clutching at his shoulder. I hope that's not that bad. Lorenzo Newman will check into the ball game now at tight end with the injury to Duran Costello. We'll see how that works out. Hopefully it's not that bad of an injury, as no gain there for Claude Fleming on first down. 2nd and 10 as a nice power option works out. 3rd and 3 now after the 7-yard gain. Patrick able to slide down there. 3rd and 3. Patrick takes the snap out of the full house formation. He's just going to take off with it. He saw green grass, and that is a gain of 9 and enough for the first down. Sanford finally getting some offensive mojo going. 1st and 10 in the pistol. It's a handoff to Fleming. Fleming up the gut down to the 2-yard line. That's going to be a gain of 8. This team can still get a first down at the goal line. 2nd and 2. Handoff goes to Tyrone Jennings. He is in. You can say he vultured it, but that's a touchdown nonetheless. Sanford gets on the board and makes it now a 2-possession ball game. We've got another update for you folks as Toledo defeats Texas Tech in what some are calling an upset. So there's a win for a MAC team as Toledo's having a great start to the season. We do have an update on Duran Costello. It isn't that bad. He should see return to the game, as that should have been a pick 6. Flash Gibson had the ball in his hands and green grass in front of him, but it just goes right off. But Costello should be back later in the game. They're expecting maybe a quarter or 2 out. So his return is very much in the books. As 3rd and 7 here for Davis as he hits Turner, and he doesn't go down on first contact. That's going to be a gain of 9 and enough for the first. The no huddle continues here as Davis under center. Turner to the man in motion. Davis dropping back. Looks to throw, checks down to Vickers for the screen, and that's going to work out. An 11-yard gain, and this is just killing this defense. 1st and 10. 3:40 remains in the half as that's a connection to the tight end C.J. Jordan. A gain of 5 as that's going to bring up 2nd and 5 now as the no huddle continues. They sent the pressure and that got to Davis quick enough. He threw that one away very quick. 3rd and 5 now. I predict they're going to bring more pressure to him. And it looks like that is the plan, but he quickly hits Kai Loxley as that's a 10-yard gain and enough for the first down. 1st and 10 once again, Davis to throw. He sets up the screen for Vickers, and he's got more than enough here now as that's going to be a first down for UConn. 13 yards there. They are inching their way to the red zone. Davis over the middle somehow connects with Loxley. There were 2 different blue jerseys there, but nobody makes a play. 2nd and 6 after Loxley's gain of 4 as there is a flag and a false start. That's going to give Sanford a chance to rotate. And that's what this team needed. They're going to need this opportunity to get some fresh bodies in there. As Davis to throw. He checks down to Jordan. C.J. Jordan with a gain of 4. That'll bring up 3rd and 7. They have a chance to hold him to a field goal here. As they bring the 4-man rush. And over the middle, Turner's wide open. It's a 16-yard reception down to around the 5. 1st and goal here for UConn. Handoff goes to Nate Hopkins. He doesn't go down on first contact. It takes about 2 different men to bring him down, but it will be a loss of 1. 2nd and goal. Man in motion looks to be Jordan as Davis to throw and connects with DJ Turner right at the goal line and into the end zone. It's been a tough day for this Sanford defense, and that's to say the least. It's a totally different team when you look at the defense. It doesn't look like the same team we saw last year, that is for certain. As 1st and 10 for Sanford, 28-7 here right now, as that's Josh Williams again. 18-yard gain this time as his day continues to get better. 68 total yards so far, as Tanner Patrick has 8 of 9 for 128 on the half so far. Good start to the game for Patrick. So they set up a screen here on 2nd down for Claude Fleming. He's got room up past midfield, up past the 40, 30, fighting for more down to around the 25. That is what this team desperately needed. They needed that big play from one of their big playmakers, and Claude Fleming's the guy that can bring you that. A big gain there on the screen, and that is going to boost this offense. I'm certain about it. A minute and a half remains here in the half. Handoff goes to Jennings, but he is bottled up immediately. There were about 3 or 4 different white jerseys there right from the get-go. 2nd and 11. Patrick takes the snap. He looks to roll out. He's just going to take off with it. Slides down. That is a gain of around 8 or 9. First timeout of the half taken by Sanford. 3rd and 2. It's an option here. Patrick takes it, and he'll slide. Still takes a little bit of a shot there as he goes down. That will be another gain of 8. 1st and 10 in the full house. Patrick takes the snap, looks to throw. Over the middle, he wanted Bradford, but couldn't connect. That ball's incomplete. 2nd and 10. Patrick gonna roll out. He swings it out to Claude Fleming there on the run, and that's only going to be a gain of 2 as Sanford takes their second timeout. 3rd and 8 under center in the I form. Patrick takes the snap, looks to run. He's taken off and powers his way into the end zone. Touchdown Sanford as Patrick with an 8-yard touchdown run. It's a 2-possession ball game once again with 15 seconds left here, folks. 1st and 10, handoff goes to Jacavius Vickers. As that's going to be a gain of around 7, and UConn will take their first timeout. 2nd and 3, Davis takes the snap. He connects with Vickers, but he's short of the marker. That's going to be their second timeout now taken, as it's 3rd and 1, 5 seconds remain. I would think UConn's just going to throw it deep, and that's what it looks like. Davis chucks it downfield, and it falls, wait for it, incomplete. There we go. That'll bring us to the end of the half here. Sanford at least able to make it a 2-possession ball game. 28-14, UConn on top. Sanford's finding a way to fight. We'll be back with your second half after this. You're listening to Sanford Sports Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to the Sanford Sports Radio. I'm Jonathan West, and your second half has just gotten underway as it's a gain of 3 here for Claude Fleming to begin. 28-14, UConn on top of the Coyotes. I would not be surprised to see a lot more in that ground game this half. They didn't run, I think, as much as they wanted to in the first, as it is a 2-yard run there on 2nd down for Claude Fleming. That'll bring up 3rd and 5. Patrick dropping back to the sideline. It's Tremaine Dingle, but he can't hold on. That'll go incomplete, and Sanford's got to boot it. 1st and 10, Tyler Davis to throw, and what a play! Dustin Jordan with a great deflection there. Somebody got a talking to, I would suppose, during halftime there. As Davis to throw again, he connects with Kai Loxley, as that's going to be only a gain of 3, bringing up 3rd and 7. They continue with the no huddle here, as the pressure comes in quick, and Davis just chucks it away. That'll be the first 4th down of the day for UConn. Sanford with solid field position here as Claude Fleming takes the first handoff of this drive. That'll be a gain of 9, and they're already in UConn territory. This is a great start to this possession. 2nd and 1, out of the pistol. Handoff goes to Tyrone Jennings, up the gut. What a run by Jennings. That is what this team had been looking for. As a big first down run there, they now go to the full house formation. Handoff goes to Antoine Bradford. He's got running room. He'll take a first down. Look at the ground game get going. This is exactly what the offense has been looking for. 1st and 10. They'll go play action here. Patrick checks it down to Bradford. It's not going to be much, only a gain of 1. As Bradford got stopped quickly there. 2nd and 9, shotgun formation. Patrick looks to throw. He's rolling out. And he's gonna keep it. I thought he might try and get rid of it, but I think he expected a cut there from Fleming earlier than it happened. But he will gain 1 yard on that. 3rd and 8. Patrick looks to throw to the end zone. It's picked off. Charles Jean-Pierre with the interception. He wanted, I believe, Duran Costello, or no, I'm sorry, that was Josh Williams, the intended target. And Jean-Pierre was in perfect position to make that play. As 1st and 10 at their own 2, they take off with Vickers. And UConn's gotten out of trouble big time up to around the 34-yard line. That's the last thing this team needed. They were in a good position to maybe pull off a safety. And now they are certainly not anywhere close. As Davis with time to throw, he finds a wide open Zorden Holman. As that's going to be a big gain. He's already over 100 yards on the day. 1st and 10 handoff goes to Vickers. He's got running room up past the marker. That's going to be a 14-yard gain down at around the 23-yard line, I believe. 1st and 10 handoff goes to Jakevius Vickers. I'm sorry about that. That's going to be a loss of 2. As this defense has to step up their game. They're just not getting the job done right now. Sanford's rotated some fresh bodies in there as Davis on the throw, and down goes Zorden Holman. Thought it was C.J. Jordan, but Holman with the reception as he goes down after the gain of 2. 3rd and 10 now in the shotgun. Davis looks to throw here, I would assume. And indeed he will. As he goes deep, wide open was Holman, and that is a touchdown, UConn. It's a 3-possession ball game once again, folks. As Zorden Holman collects his 2nd touchdown of the day. I don't know what to say. This defense has been picked apart today through the air. As 1st and 10 for Sanford, and what a catch. Duran Costello is back in the ball game. And what a catch by Costello. One-handed grab. Not a good throw by Tanner Patrick. Not a smart throw by any means either. But a heck of a grab. 1st and 10 now in Husky territory. Patrick to throw. Over the middle. Connects with Robert Thomas, 36 yards down inside the 10. That is a big play this team desperately needed. We don't see a lot of that from Tanner Patrick. But man, when he's able to hit it, it looks extremely good. 1st and goal. Patrick takes the snap. Looking to throw. Connects with Costello, but he can't hold on. If he had, that would have been down at least at the 1, if not in the end zone. 2nd and goal now. As the handoff, no play action here. It's to the end zone. It's intercepted. The intended target was Duran Costello. As John Robinson, the 4th, able to intercept that. And this game is starting to get a little too much out of hand as that one bounces off the helmet of Keon Cutler. The intended target, I believe, was Kai Loxley. 2nd and 10 for UConn. Davis over the middle connects with Skanes, but that ball gets jarred loose. I'll tell you, Trevor was there quick. Dylan Trevor with a big hit is 3rd and 10. Davis looks to throw over the middle again, and Turner can't hang on as Keon Cutler was all over him. 4th and 10, that forces UConn to punt. As Patrick sets up another screen here for Claude Fleming. This one not as successful. It's only a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8 now. Patrick takes the snap. Throwing downfield, that's Duran Costello. That's a big 1st down as Costello picks up another big chunk of yards. This team has to rely on this passing game, and I don't think that really they can do this. You can tell, I don't think Tanner Patrick's used to throwing this much. As 1st and 10, Patrick It was no huddle, so he had to make a change of the play as that's a 14-yard completion to Josh Williams. The freshman once again getting back involved in this offense. Patrick looks to throw again to the end zone. Touchdown Costello. This time he hits him. 10-yard touchdown catch. As that is a big touchdown to end this third quarter. We do have another update for you folks. Georgia, number 22 in the nation, defeats South Carolina 41-35 as they get their first win of the season. As it is a big play to end the third quarter. We're back to a two-possession ball game. 35-21. Sanford still down. Final quarter coming up in just a bit. Keep it tuned here to Sanford Sports Radio. Welcome back, everyone, to Sanford Sports Radio. I'm Jonathan West, and this is your final quarter of play here as the Sanford Coyotes have found a way to make it once again a two-possession ball game, as that was Scott Boyd bringing down Jacavius Vickers. Second and 10, Davis to throw off the no-huddle, and that one was nearly intercepted. Bouncing off the hands of, I believe, DJ Turner, nearly into the hands of Dylan Trevor. Third and 10, man in motion is Holman. As Davis checks it down to Vickers, and that's not going to be enough for the first. Bring out the punting unit again. As Sanford going to take back over on offense. First and 10, Patrick to throw, and he connects with the wrong colored jersey. I don't know if he was inbounds at all when he caught that. They're showing a replay here in the stadium, and I can't really tell. I couldn't really tell at that, but apparently it was unchallengeable. I actually saw Coach Wolf with the red challenge flag in hand, but the rest were telling him something. I guess it's unchallengeable. Nonetheless, it is UConn ball as the run from Vickers only took him up 2 yards, and Davis now taking off, and that's going to be a 13-yard rush there. Enough for the first down. That's 3 interceptions now by Tanner Patrick today. First and 10, Davis connects with Scans, and he's going to be down at around the 13-yard line. As Keon Cutler and company ready to go here. As Davis goes to the option, they weren't ready, and that's a 6-yard touchdown run for Tyler Davis. Well, folks, we're back to a 3-possession ball game. 6.5 remains in the game as Sanford, I don't think there's time to run this football anymore as they're setting up another screen here. And Fleming just nowhere to go. He'll gain a yard, luckily. But this game has gotten completely out of hand, and it's out of the wheelhouse of Sanford right now. They've got to throw the football, I think, more than they want to. As a deep ball here, intended for Tremaine Dingle, but it's intercepted again by John Robinson. 4 picks on the day, and I solemnly believe that this was just Patrick trying to get them downfield. He went to the man who can beat him deep in Dingle. He just doesn't have the arm strength to get that there. As a 3-yard run here by Jacavius Vickers. Brings up 2nd and 7 here for UConn. There's Scanes. That's a 7-yard reception. I've been saying Scans a lot of the day, but I believe it's pronounced Scanes. 3rd and inches now. Davis pitches out to Vickers. He's got free room on the edge, and that's going to be more than enough for the first down. A gain of 5 for Vickers. It's just gotten tough to watch. This defense is just being manhandled. Davis to throw. And no, I thought he had him. And nearly intercepted. Lewis McMahon, the man who deflected the football, nearly had the interception. I believe Keon Cutler is the man who almost had a sack. This is just getting out of hand with how much insanity is going on that Sanford can't seem to capitalize on. As that ball falls incomplete off the hands of Holman. 3rd and 10. Davis to throw. Going deep. And Turner with the catch and in the end zone. 46-yard touchdown. As Dustin Jordan overran DJ Turner. As now Tyler Davis, from what I'm being told, has now set a new school record for touchdown passes in a game. As Rob Thomas can't hold on to that one. That'll fall incomplete as Dante Anderson has been brought into the game, and it looks like now the entirety of the backups are in. Anderson to throw. He connects with Lorenzo Newman, the backup tight end. That's a 24-yard reception. Big first down there as Sanford, I think, is just giving up now. They've got the backups in. They understand it's a 4-possession ball game. I think they realize that it's just not likely that they can pull off this comeback. Tyrone Jennings gets the handoff here on first. It'll be a gain of 4. This has been a rough one to watch. It's just been rough to see this team play as poorly as they have. Jennings takes the handoff again. It will be a gain of 2. Something we definitely learned today is that this team cannot rely on the pass game to bring them back. They can't get behind as much as they have today. As that's Patrick Jackson on the reception, 18-yard gain there. But this team just doesn't have the capableness, or at least the arm strength in Tanner Patrick, to really continue to bring them back from a big score deficit like this through the air. They rely on that run game too much, and that's what wins them ball games. Is a deep ball from Dante Anderson. He got hit as he threw, and it's picked off once again by John Robinson. That is interception number 3 on the day for John Robinson, the 4th. UConn having a field day. This reminds me of the first meeting between these two teams, where UConn just destroyed Sanford. Conveniently, I believe that game was at Sanford. As 2nd and 5 will be coming up here after Daniel Clemens brings down Jacavius Vickers after a gain of 5. 2nd and 5, Davis under center. Handoff goes to Hopkins as he is slow down, brought down there. I believe that was possibly Kellen, or I believe Kellen Herron was the man who brought him down there. As Gabriel is in the ball game, I can see that's Chaz Tanner though, as they wanted an option, and Davis gets brought down by a defensive end, Chaz Tanner. He's been one of those spotlights in the rotation who plays very tough when he gets an opportunity. Good play there by Tanner. As we're about at the end of this ball game, less than a minute to go, as Jackson finds room as he spins off a defender, and look at this past midfield, 40 down to the 30 as he breaks off another one past the 25, down at around the 24-yard line. A 50-yard return. Well, there's a positive right there, folks. Nice play there as Anderson goes play action, deep ball to the end zone. That's Tremaine Dingle, who is still in the ball game, getting snaps on the outside, as that is going to be a touchdown for the senior receiver. At least Tremaine Dingle gets a touchdown on the day, as we got one final update. Clemson defeats Notre Dame 38-35. Clemson, of course, right now ranked 23rd in the nation, winning their first game of the season. As that is all she wrote, folks, here from Sanford. It was not a good day. It was not a good day at all. The den was quite not defended. It was ransacked by a bunch of Huskies. And it's just, I don't know what to say about this defense. This defense has to shore up. In 2 weeks' time, this team goes to play SEC competition. They play a formally ranked number 1 team in the nation in Auburn. And if this defense can't get their act together, I can most certainly guarantee you it's over. As Tyler Davis, 372 in total passing yards and 7 total touchdowns. That's absurd. This is certainly not the same defense we saw last year. Losing Trey McLaughlin, Richard Cruz, Jason Turner, it had a big impact on this team. They need to find their spot. They need to shore up, and they need to play extremely well in 2 weeks' time. Next time we talk to you folks, we'll be coming from Auburn. And I mean, if the defense plays like this, it's going to be a lot worse than what we saw this week. It's SEC competition. This team's never faced SEC competition. I don't know what to say, but Coach Wolf, if you're listening to the broadcast at all, on playback or whatever, get this defense straight. Get Coach Riley to get these boys right where they need to be, because they need to be playing well in 2 weeks' time. That is for certain. Thank you, folks, for listening to Sanford Sports Radio. I've been Jonathan West. It was a tough one today, but hopefully in 2 weeks' time they'll be a lot better. We'll be back with more in 2 weeks as we head to Auburn for the biggest game in Sanford college football history. We will see you folks then.